law as an instrument of social changes, then it has to move with the dynamism of the society, because law cannot be, it's just like saying that somebody cannot be an island unto himself. As a result, as the society changes, the law equally changes to meet with the test of time. So that is the reason for the statement made by the Honorable Justice Rosevival. And as such, some of our laws too have to be, overhauled, completely overhauled, because some of them are even dead that we need to wake them up. We need to rejuvenate, to review, to be able to cope with the changes that we are experiencing currently in the society. Right. I want to agree with him.
Okay, let's talk about another angle that that was raised yesterday at the ad hoc meeting. Specifically, they talked about electoral reforms. Still going back to Justice Rhodes Vivo, he said due to the difficulty petitioners encounter in providing electoral fraud, the Electoral Act should be amended to put the burden of proving the legitimacy of an election on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. What are your thoughts considering all of that?
Well, the burden needs to be, I agree with him, because most of this rigging that occur during the election processes are perpetrated by the electoral body. It is in connivance with the electoral body. If the electoral body do not make themselves susceptible to all those corrupt practices, election malpractices, then the politicians cannot engage in the rigging of the election. And that is the more reason why we are clamoring that we're clamoring that what is it called?
Electoral Act of 2010.
They should try and criminalize election fraud,
okay,
so that people who engage in fraud and in illegalism during election are brought to book, so that they will be prosecuted. Not that they will just be, taken to court. They have to be charged to court and prosecute them like a common criminal. And the Electoral Act needs to be amended along this line, so that the electoral body, the INEC, will be responsible for any act of criminality that emanated from election proceedings.
All right, let's go back to Nuruddin Adigboro again. With this review set to take place very soon, the issue of restructuring still comes to mind. Restructuring means several things to several people: devolution of power, state policing. In your opinion, what should the main discussion be right now, even as the lawmakers go to review the Constitution vis-a-vis the call for restructuring?
Well, in Nigeria, a lot of people are apostle of different things. But in the context of the problem that is facing us in the country now, restructuring is so germane to our development. One, in the area of finances, there needs to be a lot of sense of restructuring in that aspect. A situation in which a central government will take a larger chunk without having a state, without having people to cater for, without having a geographic location, apart from FCT Abuja, then that area needs to be restructured. In the area of security, there should be a state network that a lot of governors are creating now, should be incorporated and giving them the chance to be part of the security architecture in the country. Civil defense will have played a major role in the hands of the governor to really buttress what the military and the other security agencies are doing. So it's very important. We need to restructure our security architect so that apart from the federal power, there should be a state power that can augment security in every autonomous state, even down to the local government. Then another area that is so important is the area of fundamental human rights. It's very, very important, because if we don't restructure towards that particular time, then it's going to debar our development. For instance, now, as a Nigerian, the issue of indigenship should be scrapped. If we are talking about unity, if we are talking about upliftment, that area needs to be tweaked upon. Then another thing again is that the room for corruption. That is why we need to restructure the way state laws have been done, and also our courts need to be restructured in that particular area. You know that we have a penal code in the north, we have criminal code in the south. There should be a way to really harmonize our law that will be in uniformity with what is going to happen within the northern part and the southern parts. Although headache of every state can still stay, but there should be a way for uniformity, and so that the issue of corruption that have bedeviled this country can be tackled at the local government, state government, and also federal government.
All right, thank you, Nuruddin. Let's bring in Barrister Kaka once again. I know you're very passionate about constitution review, but specifically I would want you to talk about devolution of powers vis-a-vis the local government administration, and of course the issue of restructuring as Nuruddin has posited so far.
Well, when we talk of restructuring in Nigeria and devolution of power, the Constitution is clear about this. We have 3 tiers of government: the federal, state level, and the local government. The federal government, they have too much power, enormous power, that is affecting others from functioning properly. The federal government, yes, they are functioning, the state is functioning, but at times, the federal government do with enormous, influence on the state. And the most affected of it all is the local government. And this local government, they are the grassroots people. The people at the grassroots are totally disconnected from good governance. And as such, the states generally are not allowing the local government to function, not even in minimally, not to talk of maximally. The revenue that's supposed to come to them are being cornered by the state government. And as such, even when the Constitution says that there must be a clear-cut separation of power, not among the organs of the government now, that is the judiciary, legislature, and the executive, but among the 3 tiers of government. When we don't even have clear-cut separation of power within among the organs of the government, they're not to talk of the local government, but the federal legislature, they have the opportunity now to ensure that the local government, to ensure the autonomy of the local government, so that they don't depend, cap in hand, to go and be at the mercy of the state government. They need to develop the grassroots. They need to develop the local government areas so that the people will start to enjoy the dividends of democracy. So they have every opportunity now to make that changes, to write their names in gold, so that they will say, oh, it is during this National Assembly that we have a complete autonomy for local government, so that the people will be able to enjoy what we call democracy. As it is now, that's why the fact that President Buhari ordered that the revenue of the local government should go directly to the local government. the state still find a way to corner the revenue from them. And as such, they are not performing at all.
Right.
It is what the state decided to give to them that they, feed on. By the time they pay the salary and whatever, there's nothing left for them
All right,
to
Barrister
operate with.
Kaka, let me butt in right now. In your opinion, do you think that if the the local government are in charge of their own financing, we will see better development, more representation, and of course, the people at the grassroots would enjoy better governance?
By the grace of God, the people at the grassroots will enjoy better government, and the living standard will be high, and the living standard will be improved, because the people at the local government, they are alive to their responsibility now. They know what it takes to be in government. They know their rights, and as a result, if the money is given to the local government directly, the people will be able to monitor it. And because they are together in the local government there.
All right, let's talk to Nuruddin again.
Executive that refuse to perform.
All right,
any executive that refuse to perform, they will have a way of chasing them out.
Okay, fine.
There will be better development.
All right, Nuruddin, let's talk about one other issue that was mentioned yesterday by the committee. Wasai said it will also address agitations of increased women participation in national affairs and politics, and calling for the creation of a special constituency for women as part of the ongoing review process. How do you react to that?
Anything called fundamental human rights, you really have to fight for it. So ceding a particular constituency or some certain powers to the women is a big no to me. But there is a way that we can make sure that a certain percentage has been given, irrespective of the party, to women. For instance, now,
but do you really think, that can actually fly again at the National Assembly? It had been presented before, the 35% affirmative action for women, but then it did not exactly see the light of day.
One thing there, it's going to be very, very difficult, but I can agree that if we can try much as possible to have a jamming bill that will not give like 35%, but that is going to make sure, for instance, any governor that wants to be governor must have a deputy as a female. Any chairman of a local government must have a woman as a deputy. If we start from that particular affair, I think we can now extend it to the angle of the legislative arm of government. Because with the heritage of culture and values we have in Nigeria, for instance, in another part of the country, it's going to be very, very difficult because of the religion, because ethnicity, because of culture. So for us to even move from one stage to another, we can say that every governor must have female as a deputy.
All right,
every
thank you.
chairman
All right, thank
of
you,
a local
Nuruddin.
government must also have female as a deputy.
All right, back to Barrister Kakana. I also want you to react to that special constituency for women. Plus, let's talk about some of the issues that we have right now. Indeed, security is one of the major problems in the nation's polity. With this constitution amendment or review set to take place soon, how do we begin to change the narrative vis-a-vis call for state policing and all of other issues that have made headlines recently?
Well, I've always been an advocate of state policing. We should have, if we are talking of devolution of power from federal to state and to local government, and we are talking of autonomy, all that it entails should go along with it. Let there be state police so that they will be able to provide adequate security for the citizen. And it is when we have the local, the state police, even at the local government level, let them establish a security system. They know their people and they speak their language. It's not a situation whereby an Hausa policeman will be drafted to the Yoruba land, or let me say to Ijebu or Egba, where they do not understand the language or the dialect spoken by them. Okay. And as a result, they may not be able to provide adequate security for them, whereby a Yoruba man is being taken to the north, an Igbo being taken to the north, an Hausa man being taken to the east, where they do not understand their languages, as it will be very difficult for them to monitor adequately the security system. It is better we have a state police, then the security risk will be reduced to the minimum level. So
all right, thank you so much.
That one will give us a kind of leverage so that the insecurity we are experiencing in the country now will be reduced
all right,
to
thank
the
you
barest
so much,
minimum.
Barrister Kaka. All right, indeed, we have been speaking about constitution review in the first half of the show, and many thanks to Barrister Ajibola Kaka and, of course, Nuruddin Adigbere, political analyst who joined us. We'll take a short break, and when we return, our parents issue ultimatum to the federal and Kaduna state government to return their children safely. In a moment, stay with us.
We can't talk about education reform if we don't decolonize our education system.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize. Because it's just cultural. And I think it's just human nature.
They stop paying us salary. I don't like remembering it.
I am angry at Nigeria. I'm angry at this government which seems to be letting us down. I am angry at us as a people.
In the process of struggling to free myself from his hand, he tore my pants and he raped me.
Yes, I commit offense truly.
Young girl, do you know where you are going? I say, I'm going to America. I say, oh, now so that they talk, you are going to Libya. Which America?
As it then do mark our place, some people they die now.
This is Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Welcome back now. Parents of the abducted student of the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, Mando, in Igabi local government area in Kaduna State have issued a 48-hour ultimatum to the state and federal governments to rescue their children. Discussing the issues with me are security expert Dennis AMACHREE and OKECHUKWU NWANGUMA. But first off, let's get highlights of the protest from yesterday.
They should help us because all of us we are widows. We don't have anybody. We don't have money to release our children. They should help us.
Well, you think?
Because we didn't hear anything from them since they kidnapped our children.
We've been seeing in social media and other medias that the governor said he is not going to negotiate with bandits. The same governor, some years back, he made a statement that if the life of his state is at stake, he will negotiate and pay bandits so that they should stop killing his people. Today,
welcome back. Those are aggrieved parents agonizing, worried about 39 of the children who are still in the den of the kidnappers. All right, let's just go straight to the discussion. And thank you so much once again, analyst. Let's start with you, Dennis, right now. Some have said that the reason why there are continued abductions and security challenges in Kaduna State may just be the stance of the government, that's El-Rufai's government now, not wanting to negotiate with bandits or terrorists. In your opinion, would you say is a bit of some show of strength from the bandits and kidnappers that they are still in charge?
Of course. Everybody can tell that when the government, especially the Kaduna State government, came up with the resolve that they are not going to pay bandits anymore, I think that is where we run into the hitch. For the other states that were paying, you remember, within 48 hours, they've negotiated, they've released them, but this time, I think the governor is saying no more payments, because it does not make any sense. You pay them, they go and get more money, they go to another area and then abduct again. So I think it's a test of strength of what's going on right now.
Okay, then again, let's look at Kaduna State in question. There have been several attacks on schools generally. First of all, we hear of what happened at the government, the airport officers' mess, and now we hear of what happened recently with this student, mostly boys and girls. Right now, we don't even know the condition in which they are right now, but in your opinion, these bandits, these terrorists, as it were, have taken to attacking soft targets like schools. How do we begin to ensure that our children are supposed to be in school studying and safe?
No matter where they are hiding out, the money that you should have paid for that ransom should be used in pursuing them to their hideouts and smoke them out. At the same time, the schools, the ones that are still open, should be fortified. They should go ahead and put all the physical security measures in place, train them on how to react, put alarm systems, and then, of course, stand up to them. Because like I've said before, if we close down our schools and children are not going back to schools, then Boko Haram is winning. Boko Haram says Western education is bad and we're closing down schools. That means they are winning. We cannot allow them to win.
OKECHUKWU, thanks for staying with us. Let's talk about the stand of the government and the parents. Some of them yesterday are saying that the state government, that's the Kaduna State government, has not really showed much seriousness in tackling security or bringing back these 39 children who were abducted 12 days ago. In your opinion, would you say that the state government is showing the body language that it can actually handle the issue of security head-on in the state?
Well, thank you for having me. You can see how distraught those parents are. You can see the pains and the agony that those parents are going through. I can also imagine the trauma that those children are going through in the hands of these bandits. And I could hear the parents say that government is not even reaching out to them. They don't know what steps government is taking. So it seems that there's no interface between the government and the parents. At least the parents, it will help to assuage their pains and sustain their hope if government could, be in touch with them, say something to them rather than just keep them in the dark. That worsen the agony that they are going through. And for me, just like my colleague said, I agree absolutely with him that yes, it is correct to say we will not pay these bandits. We are not going to continue to encourage them. And this is so because it is not as if government does not know who these bandits are. Before now, we used to think government didn't know who they are. After all, we saw Gumi going into the forest to negotiate with bandits. So that means that some people know government knows where these people are. So, and just like he said, what is required is to equip the security agencies, in addition to the corruption that we also